the other side. Yes.
So to those of us joining on the live, we're still waiting for the feed from the other side. So I will do this, and obviously it won't sound the same like you normally used to. So you'll be hearing me directly through this microphone here, and you won't be hearing Gary in the background. You won't be hearing the music. You won't be hearing all the back. But as soon as it all shows up, I will go into the other feed.
It's gonna go out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But over to you, Gary. How have you been anyway?
I've been good. Really. Besides the obvious.
Yeah. The power thing.
Yes.
Have you noticed that my power bank here?
All the gadgets are low. Make sure
when you come to Hot FM, let me take advantage and get the power bank so that gets filled up. Because when that's filled, this is 50,000 milliamps. So this is a monster.
Yeah, takes care of you.
You can
How many chargers on it?
For the laptop 2 and for the phone 10.
Hey.
10 charges, yes,
So
for it to go to 0. But then if it goes to 0, it takes a whole day.
It's a challenge for you to get up.
Yes, to fill. Yes, and with this 3 hours per moment thing, nightmare, man.
Yeah.
But either way, we're good to be here, and I'm happy. And today, I'm not really ranting. I'm just going on because there's a new change that's going on at ZRA, and they've introduced 2 things which apparently are so serious. One of them is everyone knows about tax clearance, but the one that's the big deal right now is what they call the smart invoicing. Yes, and this apparently goes live now, like month of September. It was done. So they've given their warnings, they've given their updates, they've given their alerts. So what is happening now is this is going live, and so today's show is gonna kind of like, what's the word? Focus around that, because one of the things we do here on Prosperity Insights is talk a lot about business, and the title of today's show is Invoice to Prosper, Mastering Tax Compliance and Being Tax-Wise. Let me see if I can highlight that title. There we go. So being tax-wise or protecting your business future. And what I'll tell you, Gary, is you will be amazed to realize that a lot of businesses right now have a very big challenge when it comes to navigating the complex world of tax regulations. And as a result, now with these changes that have come, with this new update that has come in, it's going to have serious implications when it comes to what happens to businesses that don't comply. In short, the tax guys have been really tightening the net. Now, of course, that sounds bad, but the truth is that the country and the government and the authorities lose millions, if I don't know, I'd be exaggerating to say billions, but they lose millions in tax. I don't know if you can call it evasion or whatever it is.
Avoiding
whatever. But all I know is the government loses millions, and especially with the informal sector. So one of the things they've been doing, like working round the clock, is first of all to develop the infrastructure that would make sure that all these systems are speaking to each other. So if you've noticed, those of you that are trying to register businesses today, you'll notice that PACRA will insist that you have a TIPIN, taxpayer identification number, which, by the way, the TIPIN, for it to effectively work, needs your national registration card. So you see how they're doing that. So they're all, and for the longest of times, I think Smart Zambia have been running with this, and I'm sure you're aware that today they've launched, I think, their second, Smart Zambia has been working with all these digital platform, whoever they are, and they've hosted an event. I just don't remember the name of the event because I didn't take note of it, which has individuals coming from different parts of Africa, I believe, and it's going on right now. I think the president launched it. So it's that serious. And so what's going on, Smart Zambia has been at the helm of digitizing government and all services. Some of them have been notoriously difficult to digitize fully, like, for example, the Ministry of Lands, but they've been at it. It's just that they find serious complications around databases and information. And let's not we got to address the elephant in the room. This country has had a very big problem when it comes to the national identity system. The NRC, as it's known. It is for a long time being porous. Now, I'm aware that technology exists to make sure they go completely digital with that. If you've looked at our driving licenses recently, you may notice they have the barcode and all that jazz. What it is, though, is they don't have the chip. So there's been a drive to get the chip going. Those who are familiar with art, for example, at one point back in 2019 or 2020, somewhere there, they introduced a card which would be used to help store patient information, and it was chipped. So you could just go with that, any hospital, any center that distributes art, and you could be able to use that, and they'll be able to tell exactly which, you know what I mean?
Details,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's been a drive to kind of merge those, but well, I speak as Rev Walter, I'm not speaking for ZRA here. I am aware that there's been some resistance on the NRC side. So in other words, that's been a bit of a quagmire there. So there's been a bit of resistance. And I think one of the arguments was that it was always used as a means to help rig elections. I'm just speaking as Rev Walter. I don't know how true that is. But the point is that there was a lot of fake NRCs and now it's coming out, because like with Ministry of Lands, for example, and with this whole PACRA thing going on now, and with Zambia Revenue Authority, we've had instances where an individual registers, because the challenge with this system is whoever registers first gets in the system.
Yes.
So you've got Zambia Revenue Authority with tipping, they need your NRC. You've got PACRA for companies, they need your NRC, because that's the mode of identification. You've got now the ZPPA, which also deals with registration of procurement, and now the EPG, which is the big player now that's central to all government contracts and business. And what happens with all these is the NRC is the identifier, not forgetting, of course, the passports. So we've had instances where, did I say we? They've had instances, because I don't work for them. So they've had instances where both pop up, and it's like, NRC and that's in Sakundara. So how did you get this? So it becomes an issue. So now it goes back to the center, and now there's all sorts of issues, and whatever happens behind the scenes, we don't know. But I know it's been an issue. So there's been a drive to see to it that there's a shift now from that thing we call the NRC right now to the new one, which will look exactly like your driving license, but it will have the chip, and it will have all the bio data and all that jazz. Because all children born since, if I'm not wrong, 2015 have a new identifier system going. The birth certificates have a code, a number, which apparently is one that runs throughout the lifetime of the individual. So it's now that, so there's a birth number. That birth number becomes the identifier now.
That will be now like the NRC number.
For lack of a better word, yes. It'll be the one that they use for the data. So everything you get will be based off that number. And then that number is being produced electronically when people are registered. So when you take, after a child is born, you go take the what are they called? The record of birth or whatever it is.
That's more.
Yes, that's the one. So you take that to Kambendekela there or wherever it is, and then the Boma thing, and then they do their thing, and then and it's very neat, and it's electronic. If you've seen the new ones, they're very nice. So that one has got security features on it. It's got, I think now they're even putting a Q code on it. Because you notice with the cars as well. Same story. Have you noticed? Rata, cars. So they are also that route. They've gone that route. So your and I noticed this show many years here at Hot FM, we have a good relationship with Professional Insurance. You notice that all of them are producing, what are they called? What are they called now?
Are you talking about the discs?
Yes, the discs. And you notice they've got the code, and then it's tied to your NRC and all that jazz.
All that.
Yes. So it's
everything is becoming
exactly. So they are really tightening the noose.
I noticed this as well for the whole partial thing, for the pension thing.
You notice that, huh? Yes.
Your number to your mobile network registered.
So even the mobile networks, have you noticed? So even the mobile networks, there was a time they did a very big exercise on getting NRCs because ZICTA required of it. But there's been a lot of fake SIM cards. So there's been a lot of fake SIM cards, and they're being produced using fake NRCs.
Wow.
You see now? So there's been quite some work. Like basically the database is full of junk.
So that needs to be rid of.
That's why there's the drive now. I know I'm coming to smart invoicing just now, but that's why there's been the drive now with Zambia Revenue Authority connecting with the mobile network providers and the mobile money thing, because now they're tightening it now because they realize that a lot of people are operating using mobile networks, like in terms of money. So that's a whole other area of undisclosed income going on. So all the regulators have been sitting around in round tables and secret locations trying to figure out how they can now merge this all. So they realize that the biggest loophole is the NRC. So there's a big drive. It's just that it's super expensive, but there's a big drive to do that. So what they're doing is everybody going for passports, they catch you there.
Yeah.
So they get your fingerprints, they get all that data, and at least you're sorted. But NRC is still an issue because you've got all those far-flung places and all those citizens of this great nation of Zambia who are just literally not even having an NRC, and to get one is a process.
Because you see, again, not to digress.
Yes.
Because it gets the issue. In the same line of the whole SIM cards and everything, there's those that have got the scammers. Have you noticed that there's many of those? They'll call you and you can't pick up the number or this whatever name. So
and they're really good at it.
Yeah.
No, these guys are phenomenal. And so you remember recently there was a raid and they caught a whole bunch of people, Chinese, a whole house full of people working, and all of them were part of a scam going on, which is unfortunate. But at least they caught that group. So my knowledge has always been for every one group caught, there are 10 hiding and running full swing.
Wow.
So bottom line is, ZRI have been working round the clock. So they've been, first, of course, merging, creating interconnectors with all these key institutions, so that if you want to do PACRA, it's going to ask for ZRA is going to ask for your NRT and all these things. And then beyond that, the companies now, if you notice, PACRA is asking for annual returns, even if you didn't do anything. You got to pay for that. ZRA is saying once you register with them, you must do your returns every month, even if you're not active in business, because it is now part of compliance. They call it tax compliance. So this in turn, what it's done, I'll tell you, and this is very, very important for those listening. If you don't comply, hear me well, if you don't comply with these processes ZRA is introducing, you won't be able to get any business. It's as simple as that. Yes, because EPG, which is the electronic procurement governance, whatever it's called, is like the main hub for contract seeking. Now, it's becoming mandatory. I don't know if it's become mandatory yet, but I know that there's no tender for any government institution that is not placed on EPG now. So EPG have been empowered to be the only source for tenders. So now when you go to register on EPG, one of the critical components you must present as a business is a tax clearance certificate. So that's where we should start. So if you don't have a tax clearance certificate, you won't be able to register. Okay, so you need that. And what's a tax clearance certificate? Very simply put, let me go to the website. I'm going to the website. Okay, so it's basically, it's known as a TCC, and it's issued by ZRA as proof that the taxpayer is compliant. Okay, so being compliant again means that one willingly and ably obeys tax laws by declaring the correct income. So first of all, it's self-assessment. That's the key. It's self-driven. So nobody's going to come there. They assume you have accountants and all these people, and you're following good accounts practice. Yeah, that's a really important point to stress. Good accounts practice. What does that mean in English? It means you are following what a good business should be doing. You follow the TUMA standards, whatever they are. So in expenses, whatever, Shinoko. And basically there are two bands normally in this whole setup, right? There are two bands of businesses. There are what they call the under 800,000 businesses, which operate on what is called the presumptive tax of 4% turnover. So TOT, turnover tax of 4% of income. End of story. Okay, so then the second type is above 800,000, which when now you qualify for what is called income tax. So income tax is much more sophisticated because normally at that level, a number of things kick in. Okay, there you go. So somebody's told me, Kaunda, thank you. You're saying it's called the Digital Government Summit Africa, DGS2 2024. That's the one where Smart Zambia is like kind of coordinating it, and there's all these experts in digital and finance management, whatever platforms, blah, 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 blah. And it's a big deal. I think there's like 33 countries or whatever number, but it's a big thing going on right now. And it was just opened by the president today. So this is going to be the second one I think they've hosted as Zambia. So it's a big deal, eh? Yeah. Now back to my point. So now with income tax, it's a bit more sophisticated because with that one, when you have turnover above 800,000, then you need to do a bit more accounts. Number one, I think, although I'm not sure, I've been informed that VAT is becoming mandatory. Yep. But first of all, for the ones above 800, it is mandatory that you must register for VAT. And when you register for VAT, essentially you collect money on behalf of the government. That's why they're so draconian on VAT. The VAT, they don't play games. Income tax, you can discuss, you can have waivers, you can have, okay, I'm not ZRA, so I'm talking as Rev Walter. So you can discuss, you can have waivers, they can come and correct me. But what I know is VAT, they don't play. They don't play. Remember, because you're basically collecting money on behalf of the government, so it's not your money. That's always their argument, and it is charged on top of your value. That's why it's called value added. So the value of your product, for argument's sake, is 10 kwacha. And then the VAT is 16% of this 10 kwacha. So meaning it's 160, 16%, 160 kwacha. So then this becomes 1,160 kwacha. So that's the rule. So this 160 upper mamba is not your money. Near Boma. So you collect it on their behalf. And then when the month is over, you do a calculation, you submit your invoices because apparently VAT kicks in when there's invoice, not when there's payment. By the way, that's another one for you business people. VAT kicks in when you invoice. And that's a real nightmare, Gary, because in this country, you know that we invoice and sometimes don't get paid for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Zambia doesn't care.
You still have to.
Yes. As soon as you invoice, that's taxable. And whatever the figure for VAT is there, it's got to be remitted to ZRA the following month on the 14th or whatever date that is. They have a date when you have to submit that money. So this thing about tax clearance is a very serious issue. So let me talk about the ones below the VAT threshold. This one, 800 and below, 800,000 kwacha and below sales in a year. I don't know if they're changing that yet because the kwacha is going all over the place and they might revise it. But what it is for these under, they just do a presumptive tax of 4% of total turnover. They don't really care about your costs, your income, what you spend, but they just say, how much is the total money you were paid? 100,000 kwacha. All right, so 4% of that is 4,000 kwacha. That's what you owe ZRA. And that one is paid every month when it falls due based on payments you received. Kwasila Mdala, but I see it's time for your whatever they call it. We'll be back.
Yeah, we will be obviously. I mean, if you're joining us now, Prosperity Insights.
We're even about to go into the news, isn't it?
Rev Walter is talking about the smart invoice, which you haven't shared what it is exactly.
No, I'm getting to that because I wanted to start with the tax clearance first. So that now they understand where the invoice thing is coming from.
That's right. So it's 1855, and shortly we have the news headlines. Remember, with Zanaco Bill Master, you can now pay school fees, water bills, traffic fines, and all government service fast payments by dialing *444#. That's right. Zanaco Bill Master is now available on your mobile. Dial *444#. Select bill payments and Bill Master to start transacting today. Remember, this time check is brought to you by Zanaco.
In this day and age, we know you are busy. Work, school, family, and kids.
It locks easily, so you need to hold it. You'll be able to see it as a different.
your life. Please hire Zambia.
We'll be coming on just now, so we're muted.
The headlines. Tobias Wimbika has hailed Zambia's participation in the recently concluded Tourism Expo Japan as a resounding success, marking a significant milestone in promoting the country's unique tourism. The Center for Trade Policy and Development is concerned over the poor allocation of funds towards environmental protection in the 2025 national budget. United Capital Fertilizer says talks have advanced with ZESCO to supply 45 megawatts of power to the national grid from its power plant. And in international news, the UK has announced it is giving up sovereignty of a remote but strategically important cluster of islands in the Indian Ocean after more than half a century. And in sports news, the Zambia under-20 men's national team has beaten Zimbabwe 6-5 on penalties in the COSAFA under-20 semi-finals and has qualified for the finals where they will meet South Africa on Saturday.
Experience world-class radio by tuning Combination of music and talk radio. Radio after 6 from 18 to 21 hours. Rev Walter on Prosperity Insights. Now on Hot FM.
Alrighty, we're back, and I must apologize to you guys joining us by way of video. Our system today is off. All the engineers are not here, and so they couldn't align it. So you're not hearing the nice music in the background, and you're not hearing Gary's voice properly. You're not hearing him in the background. But apologies. Yeah. But either way, here we are. So, like I was saying, we were talking about tax clearance, isn't it? Yes. We were talking about the what do they call the bands?
Yeah.
So the 800,000 and below, they have what they call turnover tax. Now, with turnover tax, you just pay 4% of any income you earn. They don't really care what you spend to earn it, blah, as long as you declare that this is the money that I made, and they have all manner of my. Wow. But we're good. We're good. Good. Back up. We'll go back. So do you see this power issue, guys? Even Kuno Nagweve, So anyway, like I was saying, so they have this system in which is able to monitor, and all you just do is indicate what kind of income you got. So this type of income, that kind of income, blah blah blah. And once you indicate that, then it's good to go. Then immediately you enter in their online system, and then it will give you the tax you're supposed to pay, and then it's connected to your mobile money, connected to your banks through what they call a PRN. So you're sorted. So now that whole thing is critical to your tax clearance, because according to them, you must be up to date. Right. So if you missed some months, you could actually be penalized for missing yes. So once you register for tipping as a company, you must have monthly declarations of what's going on with your income. Even if there's nothing, there's an option right there that says nil return. Yeah. So if you didn't do any business or didn't have any income that month, they understand. You need to show you just indicate that you didn't get anything that month. And if you did, whatever you get, you add it all up, you indicate what kind of income it was. And what they're doing, this is the part that people need to understand, is they are now merging all the systems. So your bank accounts, your mobile money are going to become interconnected. And what's going on in the past, they had systems which could like if you're hired by a third party and they want to use your services, they would enter your tip in, and then they would do something called withholding tax. They would keep back what is due to you as tax and pay that on your behalf directly to the Zambia Revenue Authority, and they would be issued with something called a withholding tax certificate. And that would all be part of the total money that you're contributing, because when you log into the back of the Zambia Revenue Authority website, what they call the portal, it will give all this data, including what you have paid since the beginning of the year. So it's on that basis, Gary, that you're issued with a tax clearance certificate. So when they see that you're compliant and you're paying and doing whatever it is you need to do, then they will now issue it. You can actually get to it. You access, you apply for it, and then it's issued automatically by the system if you are compliant. If there are issues, it will say you have a balance of X amount, please pay. So you go and pay that. But one thing I love about the system that they have is you can actually do partial payments. So let's imagine, for argument's sake, you had a deal of 100 pin and there's a 4 pin you need to pay, but in all honesty, you had to spend the money on other things. They give you an option, if you're owing, to pay that in bits. So you can say, you see what you're owing, you indicate, and then it can actually give you an option. Do you want to pay everything or do you want to pay part? So you can say part, then you just indicate what you want to pay, and then it will do a prompt on your. In fact, they don't do prompts on ZR, they actually do the PRN. So you take that PRN, you go to your mobile thing, and it will even have the link. It will show you exactly what to do. You can do a USSD payment, or you can do the actual app payment on tax on app. They have a very nice app called Tax on App. You can use that, or you can use their portal, or you can go to your banks. Most of the banks right now have the ZRA portal on them. So you can actually just connect direct to ZRA and then enter your PRN number, which is generated when you finish entering your details. Then that's the number you enter, and it will show exactly how much you need to pay, and then you paid. It's done. So it's instant, nothing like queuing, but instant. So this tax clearance certificate is issued when you are compliant. Now, why is this important? Let me explain. It is because when you now go for jobs, Munga Ifwebama consultancy, was those who are bidding for tenders.
Yes.
It is now a standard requirement. They are saying, as one of the requirements when you are bidding, it will say tax clearance certificate. Valid. And by the way, for the information of those viewing, they can verify. In fact, anyone can verify if the tax clear, whatever it's called, the TCC is valid. Because you just go on the ZR website, it's got a scanner thing. You can scan the thing. You can use a QR code scanner, or you can enter the number, and it immediately will say the name of the business. You say this taxpayer is not compliant, and that's how you lose a bid instantly. And now they're doing the same with NAPSA as well.
Yeah.
So NAPSA has a NAPSA. I forgot what they call it. So it's the same thing also. They're asking for a valid license to show that you're actually up to date on your NAPSA payments as well. But it's really this one, tax clearance. This is the big one.
That's the big one.
Yeah, this NAPSA thing is still kind of coming in, but this one is big. Almost all businesses now are required. And now, with the introduction of the smart invoicing. So what's this smart invoicing, Miranda? So this one, apparently, the Minister of Finance and National Planning officially launched this thing on the 19th of March. That's my birthday, by the way, 2024. And during this thing, he also, during the national budget, he announced the implementation of electronic invoicing in Zambia, which will allow ZRA to receive real-time business transactions. So Dr. Msekatwane apparently emphasized that the electronic invoicing system is intended to prevent the use of fake invoices, and to enable only qualifying entities to claim deductions. So this thing was rolled out back on the 15th of December 2023, but now it is becoming mandatory.
Yeah.
Further, VAT registered taxpayers will be required by law. You know that thing which even goes with the gabo. You're all required by law.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yes.
To issue electronic invoices using smart invoice with effect from 1st July. So it's actually been
active
as we speak. Yes. Yeah. So if you are an entity watching this show on my show here, or we are listening, and Uribe in Kenya, like you're listening like you're dumbfounded right now. Just go, you need to comply way.
Yeah.
So it's become mandatory, and apparently the whole thing now is become a requirement. What was happening before is they used to ask for, what are they called? The software, like the names have gone. All of the softwares have slipped my mind. The ones for accounting, Pastel, and
Excel,
yeah. So those things, apparently they used to have to be compliant to the ZRA standards. So they were required to meet the ZRA standard for invoicing. But this has now rendered most of these software useless when it comes to invoicing as required by government. So before, you could use any platform to create your invoice and send it, and it's valid because there's your name there and your company details, and But now they're saying, vaso muleke manj. What you need to be doing is issuing a smart invoice using the Zambia Revenue Authority portal system.
It explains. I mean, someone in the building from marketing actually issued a message, like a memo, like, guys, if you're now issuing out invoices, please, someone should help you.
So meaning you have to go into the whole system of ZRA, log in. Now, of course, each company only has one login, because I'm not sure if they allow multiple users, and the reason is simple. With multiple users, that's very problematic. And remember, an invoice is not a quotation. Let me qualify that again.
Yes.
An invoice is not a quotation. So you don't issue an invoice unless a job has been done or a job is to be done, which is guaranteed.
Right.
Yes, but ideally the job should be done. You issue an invoice upon either commencement or completion of the job.
Yeah.
So because according to tax, it's immediately valid, and payment is needed.
Yeah.
So if you are doing sales, you start with a quotation. No one cares about the quotation, so you can use your invoices, your letterheads, whatever. But when now that job has been accepted and everybody's signed NDAs and now the job is starting, they'll say, okay, can you issue an invoice for our accounts that payment can be worked out? At that stage, you now have to use the ZRA system. So all of us as business people, we're now required by law, boom, to have the smart invoice portal. So it has a separate portal. If you go on the ZRA website, there is the normal portal where we do our normal taxes. And then there is a smart invoice portal. They've literally created a new one now. So you go there, you register, you do the usual registration processes, background, what. Once you enter that stuff, then once you are approved, then now you're given an account, username, login, the usual stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're good to go. From that point onward, when you are now invoicing, that's what you use. Your accounts people use that. So I don't know how it will work in places like yours, but I think the idea is quotations can still be run by anybody. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It's a quotation. Yeah. And remember, quotations actually have a limited period of time. They're valid, right? 7 days, absolutely. Yeah. But once the job is done, you've delivered. You know, the radio station has played the ads.
Yes.
That's an invoice. You get my point?
Yeah.
It's an invoice. Yeah. And the problem is an invoice is immediately due for tax. That's why.
Once it's drawn, then.
You know what I'm saying,
yeah.
Huh? So here's how it works. The smart invoice caters for different categories of taxpayers. You've got the mobile app, which is suitable for taxpayers such as those on TOT and rental tax. So rent is a big deal now, eh? So taxpayers have to install the mobile app on a smartphone and then, manage transactions, and taxpayers are not restricted to use the mobile app as the only invoicing solution. They can choose to use any other available invoicing packages, like I've said. So you've got the online one as well, which is the one I prefer. It's access to the web browser. Or an online portal, and is suitable for taxpayers in the service industry who do not issue invoices frequently, like construction and lawyers. Then there's the desktop computer app. So they actually have an app you can download, and then it's also able to do the same thing. It can be installed on your computer. It enables users to create, customize, and manage transactions locally on their own devices. Then you've also got the approved invoicing systems. Now that's also interesting. This category of solutions refers to systems that are integrated with the smart invoice after certification and is suitable for taxpayers with account packages or enterprise resource planning systems. So ERPs like hospitals, clinics, you've got a number of these companies, banks, whatever. They usually have an ERP on the background which runs everything. So one of the items in that includes the accounting packages, part of the ERP. Right. So that is so a number of these top ones, like Pastel and whatever, they have already created that and integrated it so that it can work properly. But Zambia has a number of packages also, accounting packages locally produced by local software companies, who also have become compliant. So now, the introduction of this smart invoice will not change how business processes are done. Systems that are integrated or connected to smart invoice will simply have the ability of sending sales data to ZRA.
I mean, I like the sound of it. I mean, everything is going digital, so it should make life easy, right?
Mm-hmm. No, actually, the truth is, it makes life easy for the businesses, but also it helps government collect more revenue more efficiently. Because there's been a huge loophole when it comes to really correct invoicing. I mean, I don't want to. Let me try very much not to sound political. I'm really thinking how to do that. I'm thinking right now. Yeah, I'm thinking my words. I gotta weigh this because I'll be accused. So I'm thinking this through. See, for example, one of the biggest challenges we face in the past is corruption within the system.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So that there's hyperinflated invoices, and then there's all sorts of cuts going to different people. I mean, this is going on. Yeah. It's not rocket science. This is a fact. Now, with this, it becomes problematic. Because either they factor in the tax and then work it out or whatever. But the point is that money will show that it was charged, a job was given, and it was for X amount of money. Where are the taxes for this? Because that has been some of the biggest challenges, and people have failed to prove. That's right. I think, there's this accusation that now people are being victimized, yada, 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 yada. I think one of the biggest issues, victimization aside, is just to prove okay, you purchased these cars for X amount, you purchased these properties for Y amount. Where did the money come from? And there has to be a money trail. I mean, that's just how money works. If there's a money trail, that means there was income. So if there was income, where's tax paid?
Yeah.
Simple. So if you end, for argument's sake, 2 million kwacha, where's the tax for this? Where are the books and the numbers and the whole submission to Zambia Revenue Authority? And it's a big deal, Gary.
Yeah.
If you can't prove how you got the money,
becomes an issue.
It's a big issue because now you have a problem justifying. Because now they say, can't you then these are proceeds of crime? You see, that's how it becomes that. Because now you failed to prove that you earned the money. So you need to prove you earned the money. And the most effective way to prove you earned the money is this. It's a tax. You pay tax on it and all that jazz. And you know, the beauty about the top band, what we call the income tax band, is that you are allowed by law to claim back all your expenses, Gary.
Yeah.
That's what makes the income tax bracket very good for businesses. So a lot of businesses hire accountants, they hire tax experts, the big ones like the mines, they can afford it. They bring the tax experts from the world, like tax accountants. That's their job. Yeah. Forget about even just tax account. They study the law. They discover, so you can give away 15%. All right, you can do this and it can be written off. And you can do that and you can claim this and you can. That's how you find a company with that level of business saying they made losses and they actually declare losses and. You just have to refund it. Yeah. So it's a really interesting scenario. Some people consider it robbing the poor, but hey, that's how life is. The richer people are, the less tax they pay. It's just a fact of life. Because they can afford all the tax consultants to guide. Tax avoidance is not a crime. It's tax evasion that's a crime. Yeah, and ZR's job is not to tell you how to avoid paying tax. They will not tell you. No. They'll not tell you that, you're entitled to actually write off your expenses on per diems. Do you know that for every trip outside of, for example, I didn't know this. Did you know? Yeah. Did you know, for example, that if you, Gary, own a company, and as the owner of the company, you go to, for argument's sake, the Copper Belt for business on the company's behalf, do you know that you are entitled to write off as an expense the per diem for each day? And the minimum, I think, right now is 500 kwacha a day. Yes, that like you're literally allowed on your account books to write per diem cost on trip 500 a day. So if you're there for 2 weeks, it's 500 times 2 weeks. And that's tax deductible. So you can add it to your income expense returns and say that I was away for 14 days. So there's 14 times 5. 2 pin. Is it? I don't know. 20. Okay, my math is bad. 14 by whatever, 7 pin or something. There's a 7 pin that I am entitled to deduct as a cost. This is, imagine, that's outside of the expenses you pay, like food, accommodation, what. So there's a way they work it out. There's a percentage they allow you to take. So that's an information that is open as a tax avoidance, and it's legal. But you see, if you don't know that, that's your problem. If you pay more tax, good for us.
That's good.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they do that because what they want to do is allow you. So the guys on the income taxing, they can really play around with the numbers and do some wonders there and end up paying literally just the minimum they need to pay. And by law, that's allowed. So essentially, the TOT people actually pay more tax. Us guys on the TOT levels, we pay more tax because it's turnover. We can't claim any expense. Even if you made a loss, as long as you invoiced, you pay 4%.
Wow.
Yeah. But now the VAT thing, you see, this is where they catch us now. They are saying if you are on VAT, it's mandatory that all your invoices are issued using the smart invoicing system. You are no longer allowed to use, unless your software is compliant.
Yeah.
It has the portal that connects to ZRA and all that jazz. So it's very, very interesting. Now, there's been the issue of what happens to those who've been using electronic fiscal devices. How will taxpayers using EEDs, as they call them, migrate to Smart Zambia? Apparently, they'll be trained and registered for Smart Invoice, and this is also taking into consideration that it's a period of transitioning. There'll be a period of transition, so there'll be a watershed period, and in that period, everybody needs to go in and be trained. It's all free, by the way. So nobody's charging anything for training. It's all free. It's offered by the ZRA, and they can and do offer the training on a regular basis. You simply need to register, and then you come under one of their programs, and then you go for the training. So normally that's where you send your accounts people. If you're a businessman like myself, who is a consultant, you obviously go in there yourself. But some of us are very familiar with these electronic items, so I can follow their instructions on the FAQ. So the Zambia Revenue Authority website has a very, very, very detailed FAQ. So for those who don't know what that is, frequently asked questions. So you can go there and everything is clearly explained. And where there's a problem, they have a very good, it's decent customer service center, which is both, you can call it, and you can physically go there. So they have customer service centers. I think East Park is one of the one I know. Right, of course, at the main headquarters there. There's that tax center. Those are places where you have these experts who are customer service. So they are customer service centric, and they will help companies, individuals on how to manage this whole entire process. Now, what's the advantage? I need to finish with that so I could get into calls. What's the advantage of this smart invoice, apart from the obvious fact that ZRA is going to capture more money? But let's go to the what you call it, to us individuals. So of course, number one, the reduced tax evasion, of course, improved compliance, because remember, that means now you have a record and a proper one. Yes, and then cost savings, reduced accounting errors, because you're now literally using their system, faster invoice processing for those who need to process invoices, improved accuracy of financial data, meaning telling what exactly you've made, reliability of invoice information, because you can actually generate what they call a history record, like history, print all the invoices or shine or save, download or whatever. Then it comes as a what's the word again? Why are words evading me today? It comes as a zip file. It comes as a zip file and you're sorted. Then stock management, of course, and environmental sustainability. So basically, smart invoice is meant to improve business efficiencies and reduce the cost of compliance through improved record keeping among taxpayers and mitigating tax administration shortfalls while promoting compliance efficiency. This is something that's straight out of their what you call it? Straight off their website. Yeah. The intention of the ZRA is partly to manage challenges such as suppression of sales, I told you, big deal, non-issuance of tax receipts or invoices, and then curb false refund claims, because that's another thing. VAT refunds are a big deal in the industry, and normally VAT is always charged downwards to the last person. The last person is the one who actually pays. Yes, the VAT, and that's where it ends. So what normally happens is, if you are part of the value chain, it's usually VAT paid minus VAT received, and then the difference is what you pay and then you claim. So you claim downward, and it claims forward until it reaches the last buyer. One shop, right? There's no refund. That's it, it's done. Yeah, you just pay, it's done. So whoever is the last person, that's the one who pays the final VAT. So everybody in that chain gets refunded. That's how VAT works. So you find that as a result, because of some of these issues, that has been a problem as well. There's been some false VAT claims and arguments, and so they can help to curb that. Then fictitious purchases with no physical movement of goods. That one, definitely corruption issue, right? Yeah. And unverifiable claims by taxpayers due to loss of records. So that's another very big nightmare. And it's a really big issue. Records do get lost. Fire, water, damage, shifting, whatever. So sometimes when they want to go back, and apparently by law, you're supposed to keep records for 5 years. Ooh. Can you imagine? After 5 years, you can destroy them. But this is why now with this whole migration to digital platforms, I think that's brilliant, because it's no longer even just 5 years. You can go way beyond the 5 years. It's not an issue. Yeah. Unlike now, where you need the 5 years. So let me end with a few before we allow the calls. How can one verify that an invoice or receipt is genuine? Every invoice generated by this system will have a QR code, as I told you. So obviously, you just scan it and it's done. That's how you even know even discs for insurance and whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a QR code. So you'll notice that driving licenses now have a barcode, which is going to become a QR code. I think there's already one. I need to double check. There should be a QR code. Let's see. I also have mine here. If we have, I don't think they put it yet, but it's due. Put it up. Yeah, there it is. Or the barcode. Right? What about this? I think that's the QR code.
So when was yours issued?
Just now. So like I think this was issued in August, 21st of August.
Okay, so that's newer.
So you see that thing there. This is a Q code. This is the code. So they can scan that and they can tell immediately. Oh, sorry guys. So if you look at the driving license on the back, you've seen that this is a barcode. This is a Q code. Yeah. That's the barcode over there. So these are the things that they're using. So even the documents going to ZRA and things like that, invoices being issued, they're coming with all these codes and stuff. And so you can easily verify the veracity of the document by just. So what are penalties for not using Smart Invoice? I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. Okay, no, there are penalties, as always.
Okay.
All right, so there's penalties. So you want to make sure you comply so that you avoid penalties. And to be honest, you never have to be. Look, from the few officers I've spoken to in ZRA, they always say our job is not to be punitive. They never want to be punitive. Yeah. Punitive is the last thing on their mind.
They just need you to comply.
Correct. And they will help you to the best of their ability for you to comply. So it's not a forced thing. And even when there are problems, you can go talk to them. They're human beings. And when you explain, listen, this is the issues my company is going through, then there are officers trained to sit with you and help you manage your situation. Like if you find yourself with a lot of tax to pay because of some mistakes, including penalties and things like that, I know cases where a number of people have had them waived. You go, you explain yourself properly. Once you come up with an agreement, they can actually even waive some of the penalties and ask you just to pay. In fact, most times, if you've done a good job with your explanations with the officers on the ground, they tend to waive all the penalties away and ask you to just pay what you owe. Mm-hmm. You get it, huh? Mm-hmm. And then that also can be entered into. But here we're talking about turnover tax, income tax. I'm not sure about VAT because VAT in that is government money. It's not your money. That's what there is. It's not your money. You're not even supposed to be discussing it. You know what I mean? It's added to what you. So this is their money. So that one they tend to be very draconian about it. And that's the one people get even locked up for.
The phone has been buzzing.
Okay, let's take the calls. Let's take the calls. Yeah, let's take the calls. Let's go for it.
Let's go to the call. Through to Prosperity Insights. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Rev, and the other guy, gentlemen?
Very fine. It's Gary.
Oh, Mr. Gary. How are you, Mr. Gary?
I am the landlord.
Yes.
I'm joking.
No, but he's the manager behind the scenes. I don't know a boss. I can't, but still it's true.
Yes, sir. We didn't get your name.
Sorry, this is Jeremiah calling.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, please help me. How do I have to do to get registered with this smart invoice? I've been hearing about it. No one is telling us where to go.
Oh, I just forgot. Mveran, you go to, just stay on the line.
Let me switch off my...
Oh.
Let me go to the radio.
Okay. We can go to your radio. Thanks a lot for coming through.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So yes, to register for this, you just go to the website zra.org.zm. Okay, zra.org. I know people like saying www. It's not really necessary nowadays. Just zra.org.zm. Org.zm. Right. You will get the main site, and then on there you will see on the top navigation bar there's a section that says Smart Invoice. Click on that, and then it will now take you to the whole thing, the whole portal, and how you can register. Everything is there, Mr. Jeremiah. It's very straightforward, nothing complicated, simple. Have all your data ready, and normally Smart Invoice you can't register until you have a TPN. So obviously you have to insert your TPNs and all the other details, and you should be good to go. It should be instant actually to register for it.
I mean, I Googled just now, and it pops up. It says Smart Invoice desktop and tablet users.
There you go.
So there's a PDF that you can actually
there you go.
get, and it gives you
nice, Gary. So you've heard Mr. Jeremiah. There's even a whole step-by-step downloadable PDF, and then normally the ZRA site, like I keep saying, has an FAQ, so you can go to the FAQ and all the instructions are there. Let's take another call.
We are through to Prosperity Insights. Good evening.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's evening.
Good morning, Rev.
Good morning.
It's evening, sir.
Go ahead.
I just need a quick answer. It's a question then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So when a tax payment is enough, then how these smart invoices, will it extend to these guys who have this illegal area?
I don't know, but what I know.
The Rwandan is because they've got so much businesses around, and they're making so much money that they don't pay tax.
I'll tell you.
You've got,
Go on.
you've got cowships that are popping up
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Then if you go to Kamala, Bamwenya, with equal sales, and whatnot, most of
Yeah.
the guys don't think that. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at different comments, Zambian people that are
Mm.
paying tax, and they are just building the infrastructure that these guys are enjoying, but they're not paying taxes. So it's a smart invoice for certain businesses, or it is cutting across, and especially foreigners, like the legal areas, like country making a killing from businesses, and they're not paying taxes.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for coming.
Okay, so I'll answer before we take the next call. So very simply put, look, I mean, there will always be loopholes and corners and under the table arrangements. I mean, come on, even in the US right now, in UK and Australia, we know this, that there are people who go there right now and you work and you get paid under the table. So you can't completely seal all the loopholes, even for an economy of that magnitude. But the truth is, as they are tying up all these loopholes, one of the issues that will become more and more difficult will be the cash, having cash. That will be, because basically what they're trying to do is minimize the circulation of physical cash and maximize on these digital platforms.
So the money is in the system.
So
Right.
now that's right, Gary. So what's going to be happening is large purchases will need to be, I mean, one of the areas they're really moving in, and it's not even funny, is mobile money. I am telling you. So they are increasing the limits, but they are marking all those movements. So you'll notice, for example, right now, if you are using money coming in from outside the country, do you realize you have to give a tip into those guys?
Yes.
World Remit and Remitly.
Yes,
You have to give your tip in.
That's
And then-
where we are now.
And then did you know that tip-in has to be valid, because it doesn't work if it's not
If it's
valid?
not, I mean,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes, because they are connected.
Yeah.
So they are already working on it. So in short, they are tightening the noose. It will become less and less likely that they'll be able to avoid these things. Of course, there will always be the back corner arrangements, but that's going away. Next caller.
0974-870-877. Rev Walter on Prosperity Insights today is talking about the smart invoice and pretty much how there'll be no loopholes.
They are working on it. It's not done, but they are working on it.
No loopholes.
No, it's getting tighter.
Yeah.
Because remember, there's the informal economy. That's going to take forever. But because of mobile money, you see, because of mobile money, that's why they are really working to get that whole mobile money thing right. Believe me, very soon we will actually see queries around transactions on mobile money with taxes due. Now they'll ask you to add your TPN as part of your registration for a mobile money number. It's coming.
You're seeing it going that way, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, if there's a call, just like
Yes, there is. Good evening.
hello. Very good.
We well. Who do we have on the line? Sorry, your name again?
Pedro.
Oh, Petro. Yes, go ahead, Petros.
I want to find out. So one man like you trying to go into business. Because what do you have?
Petros. Are you using a hands-free?
Yeah, because we can hardly hear you.
Let me just.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much.
Yeah, much better. Hang on.
All right, thank you. So I was asking, for a young man like me that is trying to go into business, like capital size, what advice would you give for this star, not to mention the other one? You can capitalize and just work around the system without losing too much money for your small capital.
Okay, that's a pregnant question. I won't lie. Because money losses come from, I'll continue. So money losses come from all manner of angles. The most common being lack of experience. That's usually the first reason why most businesses will lose money. But one good friend of mine, he's a mentor. And one of my great mentors taught me something I've never forgotten to this day. There are two factors that every business needs to have, which if they don't, they will lose. It doesn't matter how good their systems are. One is lack of marketing. In other words, their business is not in front of customers. Two, lack of transactions. They're not making sales. Yeah. If you're not, I don't care how good if you're not making sales, you're toast. And if your product is not in front of potential customers, you're losing sales. Example, street vendors. That's why they sit in the street, because the customers are passing through there. You see? Yeah. So that's where your eyeballs are. And so as people are walking, they go, oh yeah, tomatoes, they buy. So the principle of the street vendor is true in all businesses. If your potential prospects are not seeing your product or service, you're screwed.
Then it's a problem.
Yes, you are.
Prosperity Insights, good evening. Oh, wow. Someone has us on hold.
On hold. So unfortunate.
Are we still on hold?
Yeah, we're still on hold. It happens.
0974-870-877. Call us. Prosperity Insights. Today, Rev Walter Mambazi is
Smart Invoice.
Smart Invoice.
That's right.
And if you have a query, you want to know how to go about it, it's just told us here how tight it's going to be now. This tight is...
No, they're really working with it. It's becoming tight and tight and tight.
No loopholes, basically.
And Mama VAT, now you're due. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Is this what I said?
Yes, it is. Who do we have on the line? Ayo, good to have you. We're talking Smart Invoice. Yes. What question, contribution?
Yeah, so my question is so let's say, for example, you already have a company that is currently running and you have a system that is running properly. How does that mean you have to automatically switch to Smart Invoicing?
Yes.
Number two, if your system that you have is not compatible with Smart Invoicing, then what happens?
Good questions, Ayo. You have to now get one that is. There's a list of approved software and platforms that are compliant. This is requirement by the tax regulator. So you have no option. Oh, he's already gone off the line.
But what about your legacy data in terms of your data is already in your system for years?
You transfer it. You have to do the whole SQL Server, bring in experts, and then they do the transfer for you. But just migrate it to a compliant software. It shouldn't be a problem. There's already a list of software operators who have already complied. But even if they haven't, a number of them are offering upgrades. So you can actually go find out. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was saying there's a number of these software that are already offering upgrades on their system. So you find it's a 2.0 to 3. Whatever, and you find that it now includes this module that will now allows the direct. And in some instances, you might actually find there is already a system that allows for the integration. You just need somebody who's a bit familiar with how to do that, and then it can be integrated in the back end. For the top notch, yeah, because all the top accounting software now can have a factor that includes the integration.
Okay, so is this Smart Invoice, is this suitable for all industries like hospitality, whatever you do?
Yes, as long as you produce an invoice in your business, yes, it's now mandatory. As long as you generate an invoice in your business. Now, for example, like a good point you raise. I mean, for example, I know, restaurants, those ones already use an ERP. What's it called? ERP. So those are a bit, those are a bit different because they have a component within them that is tied to the overall, tax aspect. So those are a bit unique. But I'm talking about these these in like consultancy and our space. Yeah, those definitely. It's that way.
So is it only for like the SMEs? What about the big companies, big telcos, for example, like MTN, Dantel, are they meant to swap as well to Smart Invoicing as well?
Yes, in fact, those have already done that. In fact, they were like much earlier than any of us. So because this thing has been on since December last year. Eh?
Yeah.
So it's just that it's become mandatory now.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the way to go anyway.
No, it is, my brother. Absolutely, Ayo. Thank you for your smart questions.
Thanks, Ayo, for coming to.
Yes. Okay.
There we go.
Good question. Right?
Yeah. It's if you're in business or if you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important.
No, it's the way to go. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
And I mean, to those of you watching, I mean, this is my closing remarks.
Can we excuse
me. Absolutely.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, speaking to
Chanda. Go ahead, Chanda.
I wanted to find out for the small business, that's the
Chanda, are you using a hands-free kit as well?
No.
Okay, just speak right next to your mic. For a small business using so getting into this whole thing,
Yeah. How does it go about? I just put in a few minutes ago. Trying to figure out how to go about the whole
Okay.
invoice. And if it's mandatory for
yes, it's mandatory. So here's what, very mandatory. So here's what you're going to do, Chanda. I will do a 1 minute answer, but you can go on my page, Rev Walter Mwambazi on Facebook. There is a stream right now. So you can actually go back to that and then catch everything from the beginning. But for the 1 minute answer.
That's your radio.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your radio now.
Yeah, that's your radio. Yeah. So for the 1 minute answer, there's the zra.org.zm website. When you go on that, it'll be the main site, and then you look on the top navigation bar. You see a section that says Smart Invoice. You go there. There's a whole FAQ section. There's a whole registration process. You go through that, and then when you're done, it gives you all the instructions on how to use it. It's very user friendly, and there is downloadable PDFs as well available for you to follow. But you can go to the beginning of this transmission on my page, Rev Walter Mwambazi, and you will see the whole transmission, and you can follow from there.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So my closing rant. Yeah. Listen, guys. This information is being given because it carries with it some serious repercussions here. If you do not comply to some of this, it can lead to fines, which is extremely unfortunate, penalties, and even business closure in some of the worst scenarios. So costly mistakes can be avoided completely by making sure you go now to the zra.org.zm website and you see the Smart Invoice section and get familiarized with it. And for a lot of small businesses, definitely, I agree with you, you hardly are invoicing, which is fine. If you're not invoicing, it's not an issue. The point is, if you ever get to a point where you have to be asked for an invoice, ensure you're using a compliant invoice. And what will happen now, a lot of, not suppliers, but the people who do procurement, a lot of people procuring services are now going to actually be asking a lot of businesses to produce these smart invoices, because now they also need to enter them. By the way, smart invoices are also registered in the system, and they can be, they can be scanned with a QR code, and they can produce all the details instantly. So it's very easy also for companies that are seeking procurement services to verify the invoices using this. So this actually becomes safe for both the one procuring and the one supplying. So for new businesses, I'm appealing, as they say in Zambia, that we all actually find a way to migrate, all of us, I mean, myself included. I am now realizing that this is now mandatory. I saw that and I heard the speech from the minister, and I realized it's so important. So on one of the shows, we're going to get an expert from ZRA to come through and just kind of walk us now as the expert.
Yes.
That's a very good question, Rev.
Yeah.
As you can see, we need that. That's a bit more official than my rant.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So on that note, guys, make sure you stay compliant. ZRA is really tightening. And to be honest, let me just be honest with you guys. You're better off complying, because the cost of not complying is just deadly. Yeah, there's been businesses, I have colleagues whose business have been closed because they were not complying. And sometimes, life is just not fair. There are people who sometimes think you're a threat as a business. And what they would do is they would even literally report you.
Yeah, because you're not doing those things.
Yeah, but then they want to close you as a business. So they do report. So sometimes they report to the Revenue Authority, and then the Revenue Authority conducts its own investigations. Yeah. And if they find that you're wanting, that's a big deal. Yeah, because they move in. I mean, especially for VAT. They don't play around with VAT. VAT, they come with the police with guns and everything. It's literally VAT. Let me put it out there. this is me talking as Rev Walter. I'm not talking for Zidare here. VAT is like banking. Those two, the government doesn't play. Those two bomb. And I'm not joking. If you're a bank and you're running a financial institution and they are found wanting, they come with guns. if you're a company and they're evading VAT and they discover you have issues, they are coming with guns. They are literally coming and confiscating everything. That's how serious it is. So it's not something to play with. It is mandatory by law. Yeah. That you go and register. And that's my wrap for today.
Rev Walter. Thanks a lot for the insight, as always. Catch Rev Walter next Thursday, 18:30, for another exciting, obviously, edition of Prosperity Insights.
Rev Walter.